Hey everybody, back again with another video talking about Office 365, OneDrive, and SharePoint. This is going to cover mobile applications. This is going to be just kind of a quicker video, but this will also apply to specifically Android because that's the one that I'm doing today. I hope to get another iOS specific video out at some point, but the concepts are pretty similar. So just reach out to me if you don't, if you have trouble on an iOS device and you don't get the information you need here. So first things first, we want to make sure we have all of our applications installed through the App Store, or in Android's case, the Google Play Store. I think, yep, there you go. So first I want to have access to my email. Now, if I have a mail application on my phone already that I want to use, like this phone, it would just, I believe, just be the mail client. Email right here, iOS, I think it's just called Mail. You can certainly do that. I personally prefer the Outlook application a little bit, just because I feel like I get more control over what I do, and the the experience is a little bit more streamlined. Uh, in addition to Outlook, I also want to have OneDrive installed. So go ahead and get that going. And then, of course, most importantly, we want to have SharePoint. Now, the last one that I'm going to install is going to be Yammer. This is another Office 365 application that acts kind of as our private social network for all of our Paul Davis communication. Something that's going to be in addition to our typical email chains. It just allows us to interact a little bit more personally and socially. All right, so now that we've got all those applications installed, go in and I'm going to find each one. So first I need to sign into Outlook. And again, as we've said before, you always want to make sure that you have your Paul Davis Outlook 365 credentials. If you do not have those or don't know where to find them, let me know, and I'll help you get into the system. All right, so now that I put my name in there, I have to put my email in again, and my password. The nice thing about having, if you have your password saved in an email, it's super easy to just copy paste. All right, do I want to add another account? I'm going to say no for now. And these are just kind of the welcome messages. All right, so now what I'm looking for is an email from me that says, here's the site that Enrique has shared with you. This is going to be the SharePoint site for the Huddle, which is, if any of you are familiar with intranet for companies, or Dropbox, OneDrive, this is all going to be basically just a unified place for all of our information. So since I've never logged in on this browser before, I'm going to have to follow these same steps again. It gets a little old the first time you do it. You have to put in your credentials a lot of times, but just stick with it and you'll get through it. Having things saved on your clipboard is super nice to just copy and paste. And here's an example of, depending on what browser you're using, most browsers on personal devices will offer to save sign-in information, which is a super handy tool if you don't want to plug your username and password in over and over and over again. So I'm actually just going to say remember. All right, do I want to stay signed in? I want to stay signed in all the time, yes. That's going to reduce how often it asks me whether or not I want to sign in. And that gets super old the more that you use sites like this, and we're going to start implementing these more and more in the future. So now that I'm logged in, I can see our SharePoint site. This is going to have all sorts of team results, links to different documents. It looks like the page is still loading a little bit. There we go. This is also going to be how you will submit PTO requests, MVP nominations, SPIF requests, support requests for IT issues, and links to all the other applications that we use. One thing about this is as we find more and more applications for these, it's going to be more and more important to make sure that you're able to access SharePoint. And towards the bottom of this page, you're going to see there's a PTO calendar that tells you who's on vacation or not. So if you're trying to reach somebody and you can't, chances are they're on PTO. Little weather updates, and then our document section. This is going to be how we interact with all of our company files. So if you're a tech or anybody really that needs access to job files, those are all listed under operations. So when you go into operations, there's going to be job files here, just like in Dropbox, and then split out by department or by whoever needs access to them. As this gets built out a little bit more, you'll see more stuff there. On the 29th, when the change actually happens, all of those files will be added to that to those folders. So main important thing here, though, is once we're logged into our SharePoint site, we want to click this little control button here. And this tells me whether or not I'm following this page. This will make it easier when I actually open up the SharePoint application itself. So it's set to following. If it weren't, I would just click it to change the status. So now that that's done, I can close the SharePoint or the internet application, or I can just move on from it. I'm actually just going to go back to the home screen. And now I'm going to find SharePoint. SharePoint's going to make me log in again. But once you have logged in once on all these applications, you don't have to do it again. Some devices like this, actually, since I was already logged in on Outlook, I didn't have to put my password in again because it found that same credential. Not all devices will operate this way, so just make sure that you have those, like I said, password handy. So now that I'm in SharePoint, I can see all the different people that I can interact with on SharePoint, files that I've used from SharePoint, and then at the top, my frequent sites. The first time you log into this, if you've never visited the Huddle through the SharePoint application, it will not pop up here. But if you followed it, you can go to search and type in the Huddle. And it might take a minute the first time you get added, but once you have gone and followed it, it's only a matter of time before this will pop up in your search. If it doesn't pop up and you've done all the previous steps, just give it a little time, maybe check back in like 15 minutes and you'll be able to find it. So here's the Huddle and the way that it looks in the application. This application is going to have a very similar look to the web page. It's just a little bit more mobile friendly, as you can tell by the fact that it loaded a lot faster than the web page did. You're still going to have access to all of the different links, all of the different document libraries, and everything will be active in this part. If you need to get to the documents, you can click on that hamburger control button on the left here and just go straight to documents. This will be how you access all of our company files. With that, looks like I'm out of time, but if you have any questions on this, just as always, you can reach out and let me know.